Hello folks, welcome back to another video. This time I'm out on a quick overnighter, and as I was getting my stuff ready I realised that I was packing like almost all of the clothes that I normally hike and camp in, and I thought it would be a good time to chuck a few little extra bits in and do a quick video on the stuff that works for me, for my style of hiking, like multi-day trips basically. I don't call myself an ultralighter. Ultralight is a term I don't like using because I think it's very subjective. What's ultralight to me is not going to be ultralight to somebody else. I would call this clothing lightweight clothing, and it's basically what I use. I don't do a great deal of hiking or camping in the winter, so this gets me through pretty much all of the three seasons, spring, summer, autumn. If it gets really cold, I'll maybe throw in a couple of other bits, but they won't be included in this video. This is just the stuff that almost always accompanies me on my multi-day hikes. A few little disclaimers to start with. All of this was bought with my own money. I'm not associated with any of the companies mentioned. What's right for me is not going to be right for you necessarily, so please don't take this as a recommendation, as me saying you must go out and buy these items. I've been using most of these items for a good few years now, and they really do work for me, and I'm making the video in the hope that possibly they'll work for somebody else out there as well, and somebody who's been looking for a light insulating top might be like, oh wow, I've not seen that before, I'm going to check that out. So that's the viewpoint I'm coming from for this video. I guess to start things off, there are quite a few points or quite a few things that I look for when I'm looking for some clothing for hiking and camping and backpacking. It's got to be functional, i.e. it's got to serve the purpose it was designed for, and a lot of stuff out there, it's going to sound silly, but a lot of stuff out there just isn't up to the job it was designed for. 2, it's got to be lightweight. 3, it's got to be packable. The less space it takes up in my pack, the happier I am. 4, I don't care about style. As you probably realised from certain videos that I've put up, I'm not a very stylish person. And 5, I am the kind of person that prefers to spend a little bit more money on something that has a brand name associated with it and is more likely to last and do a good job, rather than buying something that is cheap and may not last as well as it should. So with that stuff out of the way, I'll just take this opportunity to thank people for watching these videos and for subscribing, commenting, liking. It's really cool to know that some of the videos I put up about the different trails that I do actually do inspire people to get out there and try that trail or to want to do that trail. It's nice to know that people enjoy watching the videos, and it's really nice to know that when I've done a review or like an overview or something, that my thoughts have possibly helped someone make a decision on whether they want to purchase that. Thank you all very much, and let's crack on with the video, shall we? So just for reference, my measurements, I am 6 foot tall, pretty much bang on. I weigh roughly 12.5 stone. Give or take. It goes up and down depending on how much of a pig I make of myself. I've got about 32, 33 inch waist, generally 32 inch. I'm about a 38, 39 inch chest, and I'm a UK 11 shoe size. So that's my measurements for reference. So I'm going to start at the feet and work my way up the body. Socks is something that are extremely important when you're doing big mile days or when you're doing multi-day hikes. If you've got the wrong socks on, I've touched on this in different videos, if you've got the wrong socks on and they're not working, they can cause blisters, and blisters are just, hate them, absolutely hate them. I have gone back to using what I started using after experimenting with a lot of different socks, and that is an Injinji. I'm going to flash all the information for these different brands and names that I mentioned. I'll flash all the information up on the screen, but I use two pairs of socks when I'm hiking. I use a Injinji liner sock, and then over the top of that I use a Darn Tough quarter hiker. So I'll show you these as well. So the Injinji, I do like them. I've always wondered why they come up to about here on my leg. They come like halfway up my calf, and it's like, why do you make a liner sock that high? I don't understand, especially aimed at hikers. Pairs I was using have pretty much seen their day, so I went online to order a new pair, and lo and behold, they now do a mini crew, which I've actually got on at the moment, and as you can see, they're not showing above these Darn Tough quarter hikers. There's the top of it, just underneath. So the benefit of wearing that liner sock is it's very thin. Don't get me wrong, they do wear out quite regularly. You can maybe expect to get a few 100 miles out of a pair. It depends how you're treating them. Don't wear them on their own, because they will just wear through. They're that thin, you'll destroy them. They're intended to be used as a liner sock. So I'll show you on the video, but they're basically like a glove for your feet. So they've got a section that goes over each of your toes, and that helps to prevent blisters, it helps with moisture management, and it helps for your foot to splay out naturally like it was meant to. Over the top of that, I use a Darn Tough quarter hiker, which is a merino blend, and that creates a little bit of movement in between the two socks, which again can reduce the risk of blisters forming. I was trying to think earlier when I was thinking about doing the video when I last had a blister using these two pairs of socks, and I honestly, to the life of me, cannot remember ever having a blister when I've used these two pairs of socks together. So the Injinji mini crew liners that I'm wearing at the moment, I'm wearing a size large, which fits a UK 10 to 12 shoe. And they're made from a 75% Cool Max polyester, 21% nylon and 4% lycra spandex. They weigh per pair 26 grams, so it's literally hardly anything. Like I say, they are very light. The Darn Tough quarter hikers, now Darn Tough make a lot of different socks, and some of them you can't readily get in the UK, but the quarter hiker is one of the more commonly available ones. That is a merino blend. The ones I use are an extra large, which is a UK 12 to 14. Now, just a little note on that, I'm a UK 11 shoe size, and I've found that these socks can shrink a little bit after quite a few washes. So what I've found is to go for the 12 to 14, and it gives you a little bit of wiggle room. They still fit brilliantly, they still do a great job, but it just gives you that little bit of playroom when you're washing them. So they're made of 59% merino wool, 38% nylon and 3% lycra spandex, and they weigh per pair 70 grams. So obviously a little heavier weight, there's a little cushioning in there as well, which really does help on long days. So let's move on to a piece of clothing that I think is quite often overlooked for hiking. And it's quite an important pair. Oh, giving it away now. I'm talking about underwear, kecks, pants, duds, knickers, undies, boxers, briefs, whatever you want to call them. I've tried a few different items in the past. These are clean, by the way. Yeah, I've tried a few pairs in the past, and I'm going to give a dishonourable mention straight away to the Smart Wool Merino Sport boxer briefs. Now, I used them for a few months, and it was only a few months before they wore out. One, I didn't quite like the cut of them. They were a little bit of a strange cut, and I didn't really sit right on me, but they had this really odd material in the seat and the crotch area, and basically it was like it was a thinner material than the rest of the boxers, and it was perforated, had like these holes in. And I remember thinking when I got them, like, that's a little bit silly. Surely the seat is where you want a bit of, you know, a bit more wear resistance, basically. It's the bit that's going to wear. And lo and behold, after a couple of months, and probably only about 300 trail miles, both pairs were completely shot in the seat. It had just, so, dishonourable mention, I'll never be going back to them. What I have found, Ridge Merino. They're a company in California, in these States, and I've had this is my fourth pair of these now. The first two are still going strong. I just bought two more because I wanted two more. So they've got this nice elasticated waistband on top, with the branding on there that you can see, Ridge Merino. And they're basic. They're just a basic boxer brief. I do have a fly at the front if you use a fly, but I have found them to be really comfy. With them being merino, they are good at temperature and moisture regulation. They're also good, with them being merino, at just putting the brakes on the hiker stank a little bit. Which, don't pretend that you don't know what I'm on about, because you do. So yeah, they're not cheap. I'll be quite honest with you, they're not cheap. But like I said, I'd rather pay for something that's going to last and function well. So these are a size medium, which they quote as being a 32 to 33 inch waist. It's an 83% merino wool, which is a really high merino content, 12% nylon to give it a bit of durability, and 5% lycra to give it a bit of stretch. One thing I have found with these is a lot of boxer briefs on me tend to ride up when you've got them on. They ride up my thigh. These do it a little bit, but nowhere near to the extent some others do. So really happy with these. They weigh 75 grams, so they're not heavyweight merino by any means. That's one thing that I like about them. I've worn these in some really hot temperatures in Spain last year hiking, and they were brilliant, really, really good. So that is the boxers that I use. Next we have shorts, and I'm actually wearing my hiking shorts at the moment. Patagonia Strider Pro. They do two sizes, two leg lengths. They do a 5-inch inseam and a 7-inch inseam. These are the 5-inch. Again, it's a medium 33-inch waist. These are 90% recycled polyester and 10% elastane. They come, when you buy them, with a liner, like a brief liner. I can't remember if it's mesh or if it's like a stretchy material. I cut it out basically. As soon as these shorts arrive, I cut it straight out because I wear boxers. There's no point in having a liner as well. I just like these shorts. They're nice shorts. They're well made. They look pretty good, and they do a really good job. So the weight with the liner cut out of this medium size is 83 grams, which again is literally hardly anything. I will show you. They have, hopefully you might be able to see, on the back of them there is a small zip pocket there. It's only small. You can get like maybe an energy gel or something in there, or keys. Obviously hiking, you've got your backpack on, so that's pretty useless. Also, they have these little stretchy pockets. There's two at either side of your hip. I think there's only two. Yeah, just the two. You can't really fit a great deal in them. You could put some keys again, but again, you've got your backpack on and your hip belt's covering that, so they're pretty much useless. But you can see they've got the little flash in there, and you can see how far they come down on me. There is a draw cord on the waist, and it's elasticated waist. But yeah, they're quite well above the knee, as you can see. But they do a really good job, and I do like those. I'm about ready for another pair because my backpack has worn a hole through in this pair, unfortunately. So I did actually test another pair of shorts out, and yeah, they're pretty good. I do quite like them actually. I took these with me to Spain as well, so I had a spare pair. These are the Patagonia Trailfarer 6-inch shorts. They're a little different than the Strider Pros. They don't come with a liner to start with, so you don't have to cut the liner out. They have a little pocket on the right butt cheek with a key loop inside and a little pop stud fastener, which is plastic, not metal. They've got again a draw cord on the waist and the elasticated waist, and that is pretty much it. They're very basic, but again they're very nice, and it's what I used these mostly for is when I stopped in towns, I took my hiking shorts off and I was able to wash them, and I popped these on. A little bit more coverage with them being 6-inch, so you're not flashing quite as much skin around in town. But these, again, the 33-inch waist, they're exactly the same fibres, 90% recycled polyester, 10% elastane. These weigh 76 grams. Yep, that's the second pair of shorts I wear, and I'd be happy with either of those if the other wasn't available. If it is cold, which is getting a little bit chilly now actually, to be honest with you, the sun's going down and the wind's picking up a bit. If I am sort of spring, autumn hiking and it is a bit chillier out there, I will often wear this, which is a Smart Wool Merino 250 long sleeve crew. It's basically just a long sleeve crew top. As you can see, there's nothing special about it apart from it is 100% merino wool. The downside with it is that it doesn't compress down all that well. I mean, yes, it's quite respectable the way it compresses down, but it does take up quite a chunk of room. So as I say, this one's a medium, which they quote as being 39 to 41 inch chest size, 100% merino wool, and the weight of this is 268 grams. I think I'm going to put this on shortly actually. I am getting a bit chilly. So that is that. Alright, it was a brief interlude, sorry. I'm back. And I'm slightly warmer, much warmer in fact. So the next thing is the thing you've seen me sat here wearing. I generally hike in a button-up shirt, short sleeve. And unfortunately, my shirt of choice is no longer manufactured. So it's quite lucky that I've got about 4 in my cupboard at home. It is the Columbia Silver Ridge Light short sleeve. Now, don't confuse that with the one that you'll find on the internet everywhere at the moment, which is the Silver Ridge Utility Light. That is what's replaced this shirt, and it is not as good. This is a medium 38 to 41 inch chest, and I really like that sizing because I prefer my clothes a little bit loose. It's 100% polyester, so synthetic. It's very lightweight. It's a very light material, and it's got UPF protection built into it. It's got a nice stand-up collar, so you can give yourself a little bit of neck protection if it's hot out, or bug protection even, for what it's worth. There are 2 pockets, one on each chest, and they're just little Velcro, little hook and loop tabs on there. So there's no buttons or zips or anything like that on your pockets to get in the way under your sternum strap of your backpack. On the back of it, it's got some vents in there, and it's actually got a mesh section as well, so it does vent a little bit, I know that's kind of a non-thing when you've got your backpack on, but it does help dry the shirt out, and it helps when you take your backpack off when you're having a break as well. It's a really lightweight, airy feeling shirt, and I just like that it stops a little bit of wind. I also like that when it's really hot and I sweat a lot, I'm a sweaty guy, you can manage the airflow a lot better with a button-up shirt than you can with anything else. So when you've got your backpack on and you've got your hip belt on and your sternum strap on, you can still undo a couple of buttons in the middle there and get some really nice airflow to your fat belly. I've tried hiking in merino t-shirts before and I really didn't like it. So like I say, this is what works for me. Next, we come on to, have you seen anything like this before? People in the UK might not have. People in the States are like, oh, it's Polartec Alpha. That's right, it's Polartec Alpha material. This is from a company who are based in Oregon called Farpoint Outdoor Gear. This is an Alpha Cruiser, as they call it. It's a medium size, and they say it's a 42-inch chest, which I'm not quite in agreement with because this is a little tight on me. But this is made from a fabric called Polartec Alpha Direct, and they do these items of clothing. They do all sorts of items of clothing. Check the website out, there's some cool stuff. But they come in different weights of fabric. So this is the lightest one they do at the moment. It's a 60 GSM. I'm trying to remember what the next ones are. There's a 90 GSM, and I think there may be a 120 GSM, which is obviously heavier weight, more insulating. The weight of this, bearing in mind it is a hoodie for an adult, not a child, is 94 grams. And just look how it compresses down. It goes in between my hands. It's crazy. The warmth to weight ratio on this is absolutely bonkers. Just to put it into perspective, I had a Patagonia R1 Air Crew, which is exactly the same as this, it just doesn't have a hood. So it's just like a long sleeve crew top, like this blue Smartwool one. That's regarded as one of the best insulating tops you can kind of buy that's at a decent weight point. The R1 Air Crew that I have weighs 275 grams. This is almost a third of the weight, and I'll tell you now that this keeps me as warm. There's two downsides to this material. One is that it's quite delicate. So if you were bushwhacking or going anywhere where you run a risk of snagging this material, I wouldn't recommend it. Also, it doesn't stop any wind. The wind just comes straight through it. But where this kind of stuff comes into its own is if you wear this and then you wear what I'll show you next, probably, a lightweight windbreaker on top of it, that's where you really start to feel the benefits of the insulation. I love this thing. I've hiked in it, I've slept in it, I've worn it to restaurants when I've been hiking because it doesn't look that bad. I mean, compared to what else I had in my bag. The 60 GSM one, little bit see-through maybe, but I've never had any issues with that. But yeah, I really do like this. And like I say, one of my favourite uses for this is actually sleeping in it because it's just so toasty warm. In fact, my entire sleep system of clothing consists of this stuff. I've got the pants, trousers, English people, to go with it, socks, gloves, and I've got a hat coming in the post as well. I'm that impressed with this stuff. Obviously, I wouldn't wear it where I am now out if I was brushing past these trees or going through anything prickly or thorny or anywhere where it could snag. But if I was on an open trail, or when I'm on an open trail, perfect. Love it. One thing quickly, sorry, I forgot to note about the Farpoint outdoor gear items is they are produced in very small batches. And if you're thinking like, oh, that's cool, but I really want a green one or I really want a red one, you may have to wait a long time because they'll release, say, a batch of Alpha Cruisers and they'll all be grey or they'll all be black and red, and you don't really have much of a choice of colour. That's kind of one of the downsides. I actually wasn't sure about this colourway when I bought it, but I actually really like it now. I've come to really, really like it. So yeah, they're produced in real small batches. They generally sell out pretty quickly. Yeah, well done to Farpoint Outdoor. You are doing a great job, and thank you for your clothing. So next we have this little very strange shaped item. I never used to use a windbreaker as such, and I bought one by a company called Paramo, and I actually started using it quite a bit. I got a lot of benefit from it, and then I started wondering like what else is out there. And I thought the Paramo one was lightweight until I came across this Patagonia one. Weighs 107 grams, which is just silly. So it's a Patagonia Houdini windbreaker jacket. You can see for reference the size of it against the palm of my hand. It's not very big at all, and it'll even squish down and compress even more than that if you want. This is its actual pocket, its own pocket in the jacket, so it unzips and pops out of there. It's a very basic piece of equipment, but one that provides a lot of benefits. This is actually a size large, and it's possibly just a little bit big for me because they're saying it's a 44-inch chest. The medium they're saying is 40. Now, I did wonder about if I would have like several layers on before I put this on. So much like a waterproof jacket, I wanted a little bit of room in there. I didn't want to look like the Michelin Man if I had a puffy on and then put this over the top of it. That's why I ordered a larger one. I don't mind that it's a little bit big. I can certainly live with that. But like I say, it's a very basic design. It's just a full zip-up jacket, long sleeve. The only pocket is the Napoleon chest pocket that the jacket zips into and stores in. There is a little hood on it, and it does just have a draw cord on the back, so you can just pull it in and draw it up. There's a tiny little peak on the hood as well. The cuffs have they're half elasticated, which is quite a nice touch actually. And then the waistline, I don't think the waistline or the hem is elasticated. Is there a draw cord? There is a draw cord on the hemline at the waist as well, so you can cinch that in. But it's 100% recycled nylon, and as I said, it weighs 107 grams. It packs down to nothing. Even when you don't have it zipped into its own pocket, you can squish it right down. Yet again, it goes down even smaller than the Farpoint Cruiser, so you can just whip it out of your bag and whip it into your bag whenever. It's too valuable a piece of kit for me to leave at home. I used this a lot on the World's Way that I did recently. Wind on the third day in particular was just insane, and this cut it right down. So yeah, cool piece of equipment. Not waterproof, but I would say if there's a little sprinkling of rain when you've got this on, handles it pretty well. Alright, now we've got a down puffy jacket, and again you can see the size of this here. It's a respectable size. It's not tiny by any stretch of the imagination, but it will compress slightly more. Once again, this is packed into its own pocket, So its interior chest pocket kind of comes out and you pack the jacket into it. This is an Arc'teryx Cerium LT. I think I'm saying Cerium right. Apologies for sounding stupid if I'm not. It is no longer made, or it's been superseded by just the Cerium jacket. So this, as I mentioned at the start of the video, is what I bought before I went out on the PCT in 2019, and it has been on almost every single one of my hiking trips. It's like a faithful friend. Obviously, anyone who uses down equipment knows that once it's been under compression, you have to, or you get the most benefit if you let it decompress before you use it, which is why if you use a down sleeping bag, you shouldn't just get it out of the bag that it's been compressed in and get into it and expect it to be warm. You've got to let it sit, like I'm letting mine sit, and puff out again. But yeah, Arc'teryx Cerium LT, 2019 model. It's got 2 hand warmer pockets at the front, 1 on each side. Again, full zip. The zips are very lightweight and it has kind of gone a bit pear-shaped on the odd occasion, but it's always started working again. I'm just looking now, it does say YKK on there, so they're generally the best zip maker. A draw cord at the waist on the hemline again, at either side. Sorry if you can't see, I'm not doing a very good job. It has a hood with a draw cord on the back of it, and there is the interior pocket, which you can use as an interior pocket, but then it's got the little stash bag attached inside as well. So it's quite minimal, again, minimal but functional, and as I said before at the start of the video, it's one of my favourite things. In fact, I'm going to put it on now. I don't care, it's going on, and then I'm going to be super toasty warm. Oh yes, we like that. So yeah, this is a medium size, which is a 40-inch chest, and I find that's a really good fit on me. The weight of the jacket is 323 grams, which is pretty respectable for the amount of warmth that this has given me. This was my main piece of insulation on the PCT, and I can't remember being like freezing cold any day and wanting anything extra. There were a couple of days where I was chilly, but this did a superb job 99% of the time, and has done ever since as well. If I was going out in the winter, I'd want something with a bit more oomph to it, a bit more insulation, but this is a pretty cool piece of equipment, and it's by far good enough for what I want. Alright, next up we have pretty much a brand new addition to my lineup, and the main reason I bought this is because it was on sale at a stupidly cheap price, and I couldn't resist. One of the downsides of using down insulation, pun intended, is that when it gets wet, generally it's no good. It doesn't insulate anymore. Synthetic insulation does. It is a Rab Xenon 2.0 jacket, and I'm going to be straight up with you here. I absolutely love this colour. I really do. Aside from that, again, full zip, long sleeve, little bit of elastication on the wrists, but not a great deal. There is a really good hood with a chin guard, beard guard, whatever you want to call it. The hood has got a tiny little bit of stretch in it, but it's what looks to me to be a helmet compatible hood. There is no adjustment, I don't think, that I can see. There's no adjustment on the back like there was with the Arc'teryx. So a quick look inside. and I can't see any on the inside either, so you're not going to be able to cinch that hood down. It's just going to be put your hood up and live with it. There is again a hand warmer pocket at each side of the front of the jacket. I used this, sorry, there is a draw cord on the waist hemline as well. I used this on the Yorkshire World's Way that I did recently because I knew it was going to be wet, and I knew that I didn't want to risk my down equipment on my down jacket. So this is a medium, a 40-inch, which is a superb fit on me again. The outer of the jacket is made from 30D Pertex Quantum, which does stop a bit of wind actually. It's a real smooth and shiny smooth material. The lining of the jacket is 20D Atmos ripstop. The insulation that's used in it is Primaloft or Primaloft, don't know which way, silver insulation, which is 60 grams per square metre, 60 GSM. The thing that surprised me with the jacket when I got it was the weight of it. It weighs 359 grams, which is only a smidge more than this down jacket. And having used this for 80 miles on the World's Way, I was really impressed with it. So this will be accompanying me, I do believe, on my upcoming trail at the end of April. One thing to note is that it's the same with any synthetic insulation item. It doesn't compress very well. As you can see, it doesn't compress anywhere near as much as this Arc'teryx puffy. But that doesn't bother me so much. Like I say, I paid £60 for this jacket and I feel like I stole it. So next up we have waterproof jacket, which is something that I've had a couple of in the past. When I imagine it raining when I'm hiking, I imagine it raining for like a day or 2 days at a time, and that doesn't happen very often in reality. In reality it's like maybe a shower, you know, maybe a couple of hours storm or something like that. And I was carrying around with me for a long time an Arc'teryx Beta LT jacket, which was quite weighty and also didn't compress down very well at all. And at the end of like a 2 or 3 week trip, I was trying to figure out how many times I'd used it, and it wasn't even 5 times. I hadn't had it out of my bag 5 times. And don't get me wrong, it was a superb jacket. Nothing got through that thing. It was a beautiful, beautiful piece of clothing. But it was just overkill for my needs. What I want is just something that packs down small, doesn't weigh a great deal, but when you want it for that shower or for that hour or 2 downpour, it's going to do a good job. I did loads of research, and in the end I went with this. Some of you may have recognised the logo if you saw it. It's a Mountain Equipment Firefly jacket, which is actually designed as a trail running jacket. If you're looking for a Gore-Tex waterproof jacket, obviously there's a lot of different iterations and versions of Gore-Tex, but if you're looking for a Gore-Tex waterproof jacket, I challenge you to find more than 5 that are around 200 grams. There aren't many out there at all. This one, I'm not going to tell you what it weighs just yet. I'm going to show you the features. So this is a size large, and I was actually able to try this on in a shop, and I'm glad I did, because I was going to buy a medium, and the medium was way too tight. So this is a large, which is a 41 to 43 inch chest, they say. I don't think that's accurate. I think it's more like a 40 inch chest, if not smaller. I also found the arm movement to be, sorry, it's my chicken impression. I also found the arm movement in the medium to be rather restrictive, so I ended up going for a large. It's a really good fit, especially, as I said before, if you've got a puffy jacket on, insulating you, and you want to put a waterproof over the top of it, it's good to have a little bit of room in there. So if you're buying a waterproof jacket, don't get something that's like really tight fitting. Allow yourself a little bit of room. It's 3-layer Gore-Tex Active 2.0, which is one of Gore-Tex's lighter weight materials. So it does compress down pretty impressively for a Gore-Tex waterproof jacket. Again, pretty much between my fists, between my hands. It's full zip. You've got Velcro hook and loop tabs on the wrists, and a little bit of elastication as well. On the hood, again, you've got a little visor, a little peak visor on the front that's a little bit stiffened, and then you've got your draw cord adjustment on the rear. There's a hanging loop on the rear. There is a Napoleon chest pocket on the left, on the outside, little zip pocket. It's not huge, but I've got a couple of items in there. I had a couple of items in there. There's no pockets on the inside. There are no pockets. This might be a deal breaker for some of you. There are no other pockets on this jacket. All it has is the one chest pocket. One chest pocket. And then I think we've got adjustments. Yeah, there is a little draw cord on the waist hem as usual. Straight away, I used this on the GR11 last year, crossing Spain, crossing the Pyrenees, 520 miles. For one day in the Basque Country, it absolutely siled it down. It was horrendous. It just didn't stop raining the entire day, and I was hiking the entire day as well. I did almost high 20s, 20 some miles. I had this on nearly all day, and it did a pretty sweet job, let me tell you. Wasn't 100% perfect. I found the hood was a little bit awkward when I was wearing my baseball cap, but wasn't a deal breaker for me at all. It did its job, and it did it really, really well. Now, weight-wise, if you're bothered about weight, one of the more popular lightweight hiking jackets that's waterproof is the Outdoor Research Helium. It's not Gore-Tex. It weighs 184 grams, which is crazy lightweight for a waterproof jacket. Another awesome waterproof jacket is the Arc'teryx Beta LT, 377 grams. That's a beefy jacket. That's like a storm shield. Doesn't compress down very well. This jacket weighs 202 grams for a Gore-Tex waterproof jacket. I looked online the other day when I was researching it, just to get the weights and whatnot and the details of it, and it looked like it was sold out most places, which, why would it be sold out? It's a Gore-Tex jacket that weighs 202 grams in a size large. No brainer for me. Love it. Alright, now we are on to headwear. I nearly always have a baseball cap on when I'm hiking. Don't know what, just got used to it. It's what I wear. I am almost bald now underneath it. This one is one of my favourites. I do have a few different ones that I use, but this is by far at the moment one of the ones that I'm favouring using. And it's by a company called Sunday Afternoons, which is a bit of an odd name for a hat company. But this is called the Vaporlight Stride Cap. It's one size. The fabric is their own Vaporlight fabric, which is Blue Sign certified, meaning it's all good for the environment. The weight of this cap is 42 grams, which is really light. The peak is crushable, or the visor, whatever you want to call it. It's crushable. I've had this stuffed in a side pocket in my backpack, popped it out, and very shortly it's gone back to, as you can see, it's got a really nice soft headband there. What I find with a lot of baseball caps is I get a really itchy forehead from the headband. Doesn't happen with this one. The material is really, really thin, so it breathes really well. And one last little design feature is, if you can see at the side of these little flashes here, there's a hole. And they call it the sunglasses keeper. Now the sunglasses I use have got straight arms on them, so I can use them easily when I've got a cap on. I.e. the arms aren't curved, they're straight. So they work really well. I can just take my sunglasses off and they slide into the sunglasses keepers. So when I'm looking over a bridge or when I'm looking down or whatever it is, if I'm not using my glasses on my face, I can pop them on the top of my hat and I know they're not going to go anywhere. They're locked in. It's a really cool little design feature. So gloves, again, are something that I think is often overlooked on trails, and for me, if I'm going to get curled, the first thing that goes on me are my fingers. I haven't used these a great deal yet, I've not had them all that long, but they were very valuable in Spain last year, especially at a couple of high altitude. These are the Farpoint outdoor gear, it's them again, drifter gloves. They're one size fits all, hopefully. I would say if you were a person with bigger hands, you might struggle a little bit. You can see how much coverage you get, but they're very simple. Again, it's the Polartec Alpha fabric. They weigh 20 grams for the pair. And as I said before, they don't stop a lot of wind, but they do give you a nice little bit of insulation. You know, when you set up from camp on a morning and you're still warming up and everything's just a little bit chilly and you're just a little bit uncomfortable, or I've used these when I've been sleeping. I get quite cold hands sometimes when I'm in the tent on the night. I feel the difference straight away when I'm taking them off now. They're really cool. And again, at 20 grams a pair, and for what they compress down to, again, it's nothing. They're in there. Something else that is worth taking in your pack, for me anyway. So there we go, guys. That's my 3-season lightweight hiking clothing list. Now you know what's in my backpack or what I'm wearing when I'm hiking. Hopefully it's maybe given you a few ideas. As always, if you've got any comments or suggestions on anything that I should maybe check out, anything that's working well for you, please drop them below. Until next time, happy trails, take care of yourselves, have a good one, and thanks for watching.